Hey everyone, we are here at TriggrCon 2017 up here in Tacoma, Washington. I am at CMC Triggers. As you guys know, if you've seen some of the other videos I've done for the Haas USMC, it is 18-inch fax and barrel. I was shooting that CMC trigger and that helped me get some half MOA and 3/4 MOA groups. So when I heard that you guys were coming out with Glock triggers, it really intrigued me. And I thankfully got the opportunity to shoot them for the first time yesterday at the range day. And I was really impressed, just to start out with that. But the thing I think was most impressive to me is the guns we were shooting, the only thing that had been changed was the trigger itself. None of the springs, none of the connectors, nothing. And I can say with just replacing the trigger, it felt better than pretty much any trigger I felt with all those other upgrades on top of it. So can you tell us a little bit about these triggers?
Yeah. So pretty much with our drop-in Glock trigger, it's all stock, all OEM Glock parts on the inside. So it's going to drop into any Glock that you have out there, from a custom to a bone stock Glock out there. Because it is all OEM, it will take any kind of springs or any kind of trigger kits you want to put in there, so you can also just make that trigger even more enhanced from there. So the quick things that we've really done to this trigger is we didn't do anything to the inside. The only thing that we've actually done is changed it from a curve to a flat. So with that curve and flat, with just our geometry of our flat trigger, we've done three major things. So the first thing is we took that nasty grittiness out of that stock Glock trigger. We've taken that completely out by just changing the face of the trigger. That's no polish work, that's just a trigger. So on top of that, we've actually lowered the trigger pull on it also. So it goes from about a 7-pound stock Glock trigger down to a 5-pound trigger, which is really awesome.
And I know some of you who have aftermarket triggers, 5 pounds might sound like a lot, but I'm telling you, feel can be a lot more important than the actual weight itself, and it feels totally different. As much as I love Glocks, they are not the best triggers out of the box.
Unfortunately not.
But this definitely helps it. So that they advertise a 5-pound trigger out of the box, this will actually get into that and feel about 1,000 times better.
Right.
Sorry.
And it's still, your everyday carry safe. So
exactly.
You don't want to get too low with it. It all depends on your preference, right. But it's still, for your average person, it's your EDC safe. And on top of that, we've actually shortened the reset. So with our triggers, they sit a little bit further forward than most trigger units out there that you see, especially with flat triggers. But we've done that for a reason, because on the reset, I'm trying to see, let's swap spots with you. So on the reset, a little bit of slack, it breaks off. But on the reset, you're already that much closer to the reset. So when it resets, literally just a little bit of play there, and it breaks right off. Again, the only thing we've done to this was just the trigger shoot. Yep. No polish work, no connectors, no springs.
Right.
So by just doing a little bit, we have done a lot.
Yeah, and one of the things too that I like about the flat face triggers, whether it's on your ARs or on your Glocks, especially when it has that little toe there at the bottom, if you can see that little toe, basically what that really helps with doing is getting the exact same trigger placement with your finger every single time. It's going to rest right into that spot, and the more consistent you can make your trigger pull, the better off you're going to be in the long run when it comes to shooting tight groups, shooting faster, everything. Having that consistent trigger placement is going to do you a lot of favors. So having that flat face feels really good, and I felt other flat face triggers from Glocks, and it just, I don't know, it never really did anything for me. This was the first one that I felt it actually made a significant difference.
Yeah, and a real quick thing also is we've really enhanced the safety on these two. We've made it on the back side, the safety contacts a lot more of the frame. Okay. So that way it's a lot safer than your standard Glock safety, where a lot of people get negligent discharges with those due to how unsafe their safeties are. But it's a lot wider on the back side, and it's wider on the front side, so meaning it takes a lot more effort if something gets in there to disengage. But when your finger's in there, it disengages and gets out of the way right away.
Perfect.
So we've done a lot of little things that go a long way.
That's awesome. And you guys have them in all the 9mm and 40s.
And 40 cals, right?
And Gen 3s, Gen 4s, all of them. It's all going to be
Gen 1s, Gen 2s. Yep.
And you guys are working on getting into the 45/10mm
so
arena?
Here pretty quick, probably by the end of 2017. This is brand new for this show. This is the Glock 21, so it's the 45 trigger. So these are pretty much going to be shipping probably by the end of the year or so, and it's going to fit all your 45s, including we're going to make a 10mm one also.
Okay.
And then in the next few months, of course, we got the Glock 42 and 43 trigger on there. So these will be shipping by the next couple months or so. So definitely keep your eye out for these.
Awesome. And that's one thing that's going to be really nice, because as much as Glock triggers aren't the best, for some reason it seems like the 43 even has the worst trigger out of the box. So having another option like that is going to be awesome. So what approximately do these come to market at?
So they retail MSRP roughly about 180 bucks.
And again, I felt a lot more expensive triggers that don't quite do as much, especially when you're considering that it's just changing the trigger and it already feels really good. But one of the other things that I didn't even know about until I showed up at the booth was they're doing AK triggers. Can you talk to us about your AK trigger?
So our AK trigger is actually a modular trigger unit. It's very similar to our drop-in. It's all one piece. So because there is so many different variances to the AK, we've made it to where it'll fit just about almost any version of the AK out there. Okay. You may have to do a little bit of work to them to get them to work properly, but they will fit most of the models out there. Extremely short pull if you want to show them how that works.
Absolutely. So I'll even do it left-handed here so you guys can see what that pull looks like. But you guys can see there's a short take-up, a very crisp break. Again, feel can be a lot more important than the actual weight of it. And then the reset is right there, a nice tactile, audible reset, and then a really short break. It feels really, really good. You can tell they had to do a lot of R&D to get it to the point where it can go across all the variants. Unfortunately, there's no mil-spec like AR, so you can't just make one that's going to drop into everything. So they definitely did their research and did their homework to make this thing work. Again, like you said, if you own an AK, you're used to having to do a little bit of gunsmithing on your own to get things to fit right. So that may have to take place, but it's probably the best AK trigger I've ever found.
That's what we think.
About where do these come into market at?
I believe those are roughly about $250-ish.
$250? Okay. Yeah. So again, if you guys want quality, and especially when it comes to considering the amount of research and development that has to go into developing something like this, that price is pretty reasonable. So awesome stuff from CMC Triggers. They're not just doing the AR triggers they've been doing forever, which are all good. They're doing the Glocks, which are awesome. They're doing the AKs, which is awesome. And I'm liking what I'm seeing from you guys. So you guys working on anything else new? Or?
We got some things on the drawing board. I think the biggest thing right now is probably the M&P market and stuff like that.
Okay.
I know we're looking at maybe doing some SIG stuff and Walther and HK and that kind of thing.
Cool.
It's definitely on the drawing board, and Remington 700's on there too. So we got a couple of different things. We're going to try to get all the Glocks by the end of the year. We're going to try to make a trigger for every Glock that they make. And then from there, we'll probably start pumping out some different stuff for sure. Awesome.
So if people want to know more, where can they go?
CMCTriggers.com has all of our info on there. If you have any questions, you can always email infos@CMC Triggers, and we're going to help you out to the fullest.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you. You've been great.
Again, check out these triggers if you haven't already. The Glock ones especially. It'll impress you. But check out all the links below. And as always, thanks for watching.